This is so nervy.
Oh no, it's so fun.
Wait, I just want to know for reference, like, can you see what I'm holding up here? Yeah? Okay.
I'm good. Oh, okay, I'm gonna make. No, that's fine. I didn't know if you were doing it. I'm gonna make sure my car is locked. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Welcome to the Virtual Stab Comedy Theater. It's time for the Suzette Veneti Show. Please welcome to your screen, Suzette Veneti.
Think you're hot shit, ooh, I love it, yeah. Stumbling, but yeah, you're still looking hella fun. Keep doing what you're doing, and we'll make you mine. Well, you're a hot mess, and I'm falling for you, and I'm like, hot damn, let me make you my boo.
Hi everybody, it's 5:03. It's a Sunday night. That means it's time for the Suzette Veneti Show. It's August 15th, so that's cool. It's Leo season if you're a Leo, and if you're not, you don't need that kind of attention, so you're okay that it's not your season. Anyhow, welcome to the Suzette Veneti Show, the only show hosted by a drag princess who didn't put her phone on silent right before, and then it just made noise. Hi, I'm Suzette Veneti. Anyhow, fun show tonight. In-studio guest, and I'm excited. Before we get there, I wrote some monologue jokes, so let me pull them up. Okay. All right, ready? Here we go. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is going bonkers down there in Florida land. He was threatening public school officials and school boards by withholding their pay if they went against his anti-mask rule, which means he doesn't want people to wear masks. In cases where he couldn't withhold pay, he was threatening to levy fines for anyone wearing masks, which, like, masks are protection. So this would be like fining people for not wearing condoms. Then you would end up with a state that would be kind of just what Florida is already. So I guess he's doing it right. In local news, Sacramento city planners quickly moved to close off an intersection that was identified as dangerous. The intersection in Oak Park on 2nd Avenue between Broadway and 34th Street was deemed as dangerous. It was deemed as high collision, and statistics of collisions are way higher than a normal intersection at that intersection. Being that it's such a dangerous thing, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has already called and asked if Florida could have the intersection, stating that he'd not only like to keep it open, but he would like to force people to drive through at high speeds. That last joke was about Sacramento city planners identifying and quickly shutting down a dangerous intersection. Oak Park, Sacramento was founded in 1887, which is 134 years ago. Oak Park is predominantly and historically a black neighborhood in Sacramento. So 134 years to respond to a dangerous situation in a black neighborhood means that Sacramento city planners are right on par with 911. Sarah Michelle Gellar edited herself photobombing the trio, the three actors that played a trio of nerds serving as villains for Buffy Season 6. Buffy, quality content made by a less-than-stellar person who actors kept the fun alive and the universe that existed in, is still enjoyed by fans. Hey, J.K. Rowling, take note, you awful bitch. A federal judge on Monday questioned why U.S. prosecutors are asking Capitol riot defendants to pay only $1.5 million in restitution, while the American taxpayers are paying more than $500 million to cover the costs of the January 6th terrorist attack by pro-Trump mob. Chief U.S. District Judge Beryl A. Howe of Washington asked the question on Monday, and the answer is simple: white people. Actor Julie Bowen of Modern Family and her sister helped rescue a hiker when she fainted last week, the hiker, in the Arches National Park in Moab, Utah. The hiker told CNN they could have just ignored me, passed on, but they didn't. Her name is Minnie John, and she said they could have gone on, they should have gone on, they have a busy agenda, and that was disturbed because of me. They treated me, a stranger, with love and respect. Miss John, find better celebrities to follow? That would save you. That being said, good looking out, Miss Bowen. A toxic invasive species of poison hemlock that can be deadly is wreaking havoc across parks, flower beds, and backyard gardens. Poison hemlock, which resembles Queen Anne's lace, clusters of tiny white flowers, can be spotted on highway right-of-ways, along fences, and on the edges of farm fields. In just the last year, however, the plant was originally brought to the U.S. from Europe and has migrated near more populated areas, which experts are concerned about. Something about this sounds familiar. An invasive white species which comes in clusters migrated over from Europe and is spreading across the United States and should be considered dangerous. California farmers are turning to water diviners. Let's start over. California farmers are turning to water diviners during the recent drought to help them locate groundwater. The water diviners basically come out with like sticks from a tree, but they're magic sticks, apparently, because they claim that it gives them the ability to find underground water so the farmers can use it. The water diviners are quite busy recently, given the drought in California, despite no scientific proof that what they're doing works at all. No scientific proof, and people relying on their word. And this is in California. Like, we're not Florida. Okay, that's it. That's the monologue. And it's going to be a tight show today. So I have an in-studio guest who is an old friend of mine, and I'm so excited to have her here. Them, her?
She, they.
I shouldn't have, she, they? Okay, so both of those worked.
Yeah.
So excited to have her here. And she produces content, graphic content.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into this, and I'll ask you, but more eloquently. I meant to ask you an intro before I brought you on. But please give it up for Skylar Mundy.
Thank you.
And your information is below you right now, so people can follow and support. So, how are you? I'm
good. How are you?
Tired.
Yes.
Yeah.
You literally you're an in-demand queen.
You know what? I make my own gigs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I respect the hustle.
Thank you. People always say like, "Oh, booked and blessed," and I'm like,
you're like, no, stressed.
yeah. Like, not. Is it booked if you book yourself?
Yes.
Really?
And I have like even more respect for you. Yes.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just always like, to me that always feels almost like when they say it, it's almost like I want more, like I want more recognition from, not from you, but from them.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, nobody booked me. Like, I wish I got booked.
But you like created a gig.
Yeah.
So that's like cooler in my mind.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I did just rush in.
I know, we can just take a deep breath.
Yeah. I mentioned.
I'm like, it's hot as, can I swear?
Oh yeah.
Okay, it's hot as fuck.
Fuck yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sweaty.
This is on Twitch. Do you need a fan?
No, I think I'm okay.
Okay.
You've got me covered.
I have.
Yeah, feeling like Beyonce over here a little bit.
I
Of
have
course
these
you
drag
do.
queen- Yeah, of course I do. So,
Of
you know.
course.
Because, you know.
What does it say?
It says Absolute. They're not a sponsor, but you could be.
You
Absolute.
could be.
Yeah. Hi.
Take note.
Be a sponsor of the Suzette Veneti show. So I have usually I have a comedian contributor,
Yeah.
and she asked me how brunch was because that's where I just came from.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take off these sleeves because that's why I'm wearing such
I'm
a
like,
rock
I
look.
can ask you, how was brunch?
You can. It was wonderful. It was.
Is it so everything like I don't understand because I've never gone to a brunch at Batty's. I've only ever been there at nighttime.
Okay.
So it's just like tables
Yes.
set up on the dance floor where the dance floor normally is?
Yes, we have 3 tables. Today we had 5 tables on the dance floor.
Do y'all dance on the tables? Some do.
Ruby Red Monroe is out there somewhere. This queen climbed into the drink rail.
Stop.
No.
No.
Yeah, and the tables.
That's dangerous.
Yes, I know. We're like, did you sign a waiver before you came in, Ruby?
Right?
I'm gonna send this
You're
clip
like
to her.
no queens were hurt
in the
drag
making of this brunch. I'm gonna send this clip to her. And Ruby, be careful.
Seriously,
yeah.
we're concerned, Ruby. Be careful.
So we do. We put tables on the out, like next to the rail, and then we have kind of the middle of the dance floor
Got it.
I'll say perform because people like to say that Suzette doesn't dance, and I don't really. If you look
know what?
like this,
Dancing is subjective, okay?
it is, and I'm just like, if other queens, if they want to, great.
Yeah.
But
That shouldn't be the standard for everyone,
people
though.
don't come to see me dance, so let's not give them what they. They
Do
don't
you
go
want
to
to see that? I don't want to see that.
They don't go to the movies
I
for
don't want to
broccoli.
see myself dance. Yeah.
Right. So the middle of the dance floor is for us to perform. We put a stage in the back
Cute.
of the against the wall.
Yeah.
And then there's tables all around the rest of the room, upstairs,
I have
downstairs.
not been in even a venue since COVID.
You're in one.
But with
No, I know.
people. You
I'm
know
saying
what I mean,
welcome. Welcome to your first
yeah,
your first venue.
It's weird. I already have social anxiety, and it's just so weird. Slowly creeping back into society.
I hope this is a good.
It's a good. We're dipping the toe in.
Yes, yes,
totally.
We're about 12 feet apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That feels about right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just extra.
It's so fun.
Imaginary person in the middle. You should come to brunch when you're back in Sacramento.
I know. Well, I don't really go out in the daytime. As you can see, I'm a melanin deficient mutant. So.
We're inside.
I know. But still, even just the trip from the car to Badlands, I would perish probably.
Well, I would get
I like nighttime.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I look better at night.
Me too. Me too. We have, Apple Adams.
Yes, I love
She's
her.
She's also very melanin deficient.
Yes.
So
we share that.
Yes.
We're both Casper the Ghost.
So she's at brunch, and
Okay.
I will come out with.
I miss her. Literally, I'm tearing up. I haven't seen any drag performances or anything gay in a year.
Well, I mean, I'm not in the show tonight, but there's a showcase at Badlands.
Okay.
How long are you in town?
Till Wednesday. What?
Well, I have a show next Sunday. We have brunch next Sunday. And then I have a show at Punchline that's half comedy, half
Well, now
drag.
that I know, I'll try and come up, but it's just hard because I don't have a car and I live out in the boonies.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. If you're here next Sunday, I have a show at the Comedy Club, and this is also a comedy club we're in.
Look at you. Wait, is the comedy one on K and 20th across from Baddies?
No, they don't like me.
Why?
It's a long story, but they think I'm homophobic.
Okay.
I know. Don't stress yourself about that one.
All right. Is it straight people going too far and trying to, I don't know, sticking their nose in gay business?
We'll talk off screen.
Okay.
We'll talk off screen. No, this one's at Punchline. So
okay.
I have 3 places that I love. I love Baddies.
I love it.
I love Here at Stab.
Mm-hmm. This is my first time here, but it's very cute.
You know Yaya?
Yes, love her.
Oh, drag BFF.
Oh my God, love
We
her.
used
And
to
Rosalia.
Oh, both of them, yeah.
Yes, so fucking talented.
Yaya and I and Helen used to host a show here in Stab that was for queens that were under 21.
Oh,
Because
yeah. Yaya was underage or whatever, 19 when I first met her. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Performing. We don't talk about where she performed.
No.
But because that is a plight that younger, if you're under 21, what do you do?
Right.
How do you do drag?
It's not
It only
fair.
exists at bars.
Yeah.
So Jesse was kind enough to let us do a show here for the under 21
so
queens.
Yes.
Right. And
we need more of that.
We were very
and
much.
honestly, we really just need more queer spaces that are not bars. Let's be real, because
Agreed.
there's so many queer people that are in recovery, sober, and even me, I'm just not that much of a huge drinker anymore. And there's times when I'm I want to go to a venue, but I don't want to go to a bar.
I get it. That's why I was are you here Sunday?
I know.
Because it's at the other comedy club, so the Baddies, and then here at Stab, And then Punchline is I do a lot of shows there.
Nice.
And it's a comedy club, but I do a show that's half drag, half comedy.
I love it.
So
We love a dynamic queen.
you don't have a car, so I'm not going to say come back. But if you can
I'm working on it.
find somebody to drive you back,
Okay.
I will get you tickets.
All right. Fine.
Okay.
Dealio. I'll let you know.
You know who's in the show on the 22nd?
Who?
Rosalia and Yaya.
Ooh. Okay. I'll have to put it on my calendar.
And then some comics.
Okay.
Okay, we'll talk about
But
it.
I'm like, Yaya. I feel like Yaya and Rosalia, they're not like explicitly comedy queens, but they are. Like they made me laugh like a lot in their performances. They do like spooky, weird, kooky stuff. That's why I love them.
So what I've kind of discovered, this is the 68th episode,
Mhm.
and usually it's a comic or a drag queen that I interview. And what I've realized is I am obviously a quirky
Mm-hmm.
drag princess.
Yes.
But everyone I like also is quirky, even if you don't know they're quirky.
Yeah.
Like Apple's quirky,
Oh, absolutely.
Yaya's quirky.
I mean, Apple does like straight up cosplay stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
We want to have a show called, it's either going to be called Nerd Shit or Fake Geek Girl. And
I
it's
like nerd shit.
it's ultra niche, ultra themed drag show. So like
I'm like, I would go. I wouldn't know what the fuck was going on, but I would be
And you
like, I
might not.
support.
do you do video games?
No.
Okay. Do you do comic
Support
books?
those who know.
What's your nerd niche? Niche.
I don't think I have one.
You don't
I
have-
don't know. I don't like nerd out. I nerd out over like learning new things.
Okay.
So
what about
like,
Magic School Bus?
I like Magic School
Okay,
Bus. Yeah.
so I want to come back
Yeah.
to what you were saying, but I just had that thought. So like one nerd shit.
Somebody did Miss Frizzle.
1 week, 1 month would be magic, and you have
Yeah.
to
See,
do a
like,
number
I
as a
would
Magic
go for
School
like
Bus character.
nostalgia stuff, but if it
Be
was
Arnold.
like anime characters or like Marvel, like I don't watch superhero movies. I'm not shitting on anyone who does. It's just not my jam. So, but I mean, Apple is fucking amazing.
Right.
I know enough to be like, oh yeah, I've seen that character before, and like that's cool. But no, I don't know like the deep plots between like Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. Like I've dated enough nerds to like they start explaining it to me, and it's always super fucking condescending, and I'm like, I'm over it. I'm
Why
over
is it
it already.
condescending?
Just nerdy guys. Like I would ask you. I don't understand. Like in the superhero universe, and I'm gonna piss off so many people, but I'm
No,
like,
do it.
I don't understand. And they'll be like, "There's multiple universes, okay?" And blah blah blah. And I'm like, I'm just saying from my point, like this doesn't fucking make sense to me. Like from the things that I've seen. And he's like, "Well, there's multiple universes." I'm like, okay, well, yeah, I guess then anything's possible if there's multiple universes. But
Okay, so this is interesting that comes up because we're gonna come back to this concept later
yeah,
of if somebody doesn't, and I didn't write this, but I know it would have come up in the interview. If
Yeah.
somebody doesn't understand something, the best way to explain it is not to shame them and make them feel
yeah.
stupid.
yeah,
It's
absolutely.
it's to say, hey, would you like to know more about this? Let me explain it to you.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll like it if I explain it to you in a gentle
Yes.
way.
Well, that's the other thing is that a lot of people don't. It's like if they ever it starts with an eye roll, I'm like, just forget about it. And if you're not able to like explain it to me at my level of not knowing anything, then I don't think that you are really have a firm grasp on it, and you're not good at explaining it. Like I could explain something really fucking complicated, like a Photoshop thing, in probably 2 seconds, But if you like also really understood it, then I would go into more detail. Do you know what I mean?
Can
You
I
got to read
can I
your
fan stamp you?
audience. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
You can like read your audience and be like, okay, how much detail am I going to give this person? Also reading their body language and being like, are they dissociating or are they like still listening to what I'm saying?
Absolutely. No, for sure.
Yeah.
It's so important to politely educate somebody if they want to be.
If they want to be.
And if somebody is opposed to learning, that's their problem.
Yeah.
But so often what happens, and I'm thinking about pronouns specifically, so often what happens is like when I asked you yours, you just told me what they were.
Mm-hmm.
And it's if you had met me with hostility, like I should know,
Yeah.
I'm not going to want to ask the next person,
Yeah.
So it's maybe I should know, Maybe I should have asked earlier off camera, but we do the best we can.
In public settings, I'm much more just like whatever. I do my best, but it's kind of messy. We're all still kind of getting there, but yeah, professionally, I really do try. Even if I'm reaching out, well, I feel like everyone on social media just has it in their bios now, which is great.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's your choice.
And
nobody is required to do that.
No, I've learned that I don't actually like they. Like when people say they about me, which is weird because journalistically, everyone's a they.
Right.
But
right.
I kind of feel like people are so ready to make everybody a they.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, just she me.
Right.
She's fine.
I mean, I don't want to say that it does come off super rude, but I am pretty much maxed out and over just the whole gender discussions, just social media, like chronically online people. I'm just over it. I'm like, you know what? Just be a fucking decent person and like stop telling other people how to live their lives and what they should be doing and worry about yourself. Because all these like hot takes that I'm seeing, I'm like, why are you caring about what other people are doing? Like, are you secure in yourself and happy with your pronouns and your identity? Great.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Let other people just do their own thing.
Just do you.
Yeah. They're like, how can you be a non-binary woman? I'm like, it makes sense to them. And it literally doesn't impact me at all to just be like, okay, you know?
No, I think that's so good. I think that's so great. I lost track of where we were. Nerd stuff.
Nerd shit.
Yeah.
So my other thing with nerds though is that, and I love them. I have ADHD. I have my hyperfixations. I can talk about shit that would just bore you, but it's the implication too that everyone should like those things.
Oh no.
You know, like, I'm sorry, I have tried with Star Wars. I do not like it. I don't. I just don't like it. I'm sorry. I'm not going to shit on you if you do like it. But yeah, it's just that like implication of like, ugh, you don't like it, so you're not as good as me. And it's like people can like and dislike things.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely. Like,
no, and I'm like, that's great for you, babe. Like, love that for you. But no, I'm just not. I'm not a sci-fi person. I don't know. Like, I'll watch it, but I'm not gonna like freak out about it and go to a convention with you.
And why isn't that enough just to watch it?
Yeah.
Like, I love Marvel. Like, I love all the Marvel stuff, and I talk about it on my show when I have people on my show that talk about it.
Right.
And I like sports, and we talk about sports, but not everybody likes those things. Mm-hmm. And so we don't force it. But like, if you,
I guess I'm just like a very like hyper aware and hypersensitive person because of trauma. So it's just very weird for me when people like try and force things on you when I'm very clearly like not interested. Like if I'm doing that to somebody and I feel like they're not interested, I instantly am like, okay. And I just back off. So it's just so weird to me. I'm like, wow, you are not caring or picking up on the fact that like I'm not into this.
Well, and it doesn't help you like it more if somebody forces it on you.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, when has that been successful for like anyone?
Right. Like, oh, you don't want to do it? Well, I'm going to make you want to do it.
Right.
Okay, that's probably not going to work out for you.
Yeah, it's giving colonizer vibes, honestly. Like
invasive white species taking over the United States. Yeah, I hope next time somebody wants to tell you about something nerdy, they, just let you meet them in the middle. Yeah, it
should just be a two-way street. You know what I mean? Like, give me a little bit, and then like if I want to ask a question, then I'll ask a question, and I don't want to be talked at for like 5 minutes.
Right.
I'm not at a lecture.
That's what it's about, the talking at.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. So.
Yes.
How would you describe what you do?
I describe myself as, I hate content creator, but that is really how I kind of got here.
Yeah, connotation.
I hate content creator and influencer, but I would say I'm both of those things. I started making memes in just the standard old meme format, kind of, which is super boring to me now, but I still do it because it's effective. In 2019, yeah. It was a really dark time in my life, and I had my coming out of the closet was like a very slow. So that was like, I was pretty much fully out of the closet finally, and dealing with like, you know, that and then childhood trauma stuff. And I just knew like, I'm not the only person that has felt this way. So I was just like, I don't know, I'm just going to make like stupid memes and like put them out there, and, you know, whatever, 30,000 followers later. It's really fucking weird. I didn't like try and get here. I just was speaking on my own personal experience, and sadly a lot of people resonated because we all have fucked up childhoods, you know. And I talk about a lot of different things, so I think my followers are really diverse. You know, I talk about polyamory, obviously all things queer, anti-capitalism, just a lot of stuff. So I think that my followers are pretty fucking diverse, which is rad. I love that a lot. And then last year when COVID hit, I was just getting really bored. I was feeling really stagnant with like the typical meme format. And I don't remember what I looked like when you first met me, but I probably wasn't at the height. I used to be like full pinup, like Marilyn Monroe, like every day. That was my life, just full vintage.
It was in between.
It was a toned down version of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I used to be hard. My entire wardrobe was vintage. I would, you know, do the rollers and everything every day. I was a little trad wife. It was like super creepy looking back at it. But I've always loved those pulp covers. My mom used to take me like the vintage pulp novels. It's like little tiny little smut novels that you would like hide in your jacket if you were a man in the 50s. And so like my mom would take me to these garage sales, and especially like the lesbian or the gay ones would always be like, you know, tucked in a box somewhere. And I just remember finding those as a kid, and I just knew, I'm like, this is wrong. Like, I shouldn't be looking at this, but I would like be looking at them and reading them. So I've always had an affinity for them. And then I just thought, I don't know, I used one. I just thought like, that would be funny to like put a modern message on this pulp cover, you know, and they're just so melodramatic and over the top and just kind of corny and camp. So I just thought that was really funny, and then it just fucking took off, and I was like, oh my God. And I kept finding archives of the pulp covers, and then I started getting better at Photoshop, and it's just become a passion. So it's a way that I've kind of been able to take all the topics that I talk about in my memes and on my main page and make them into more of like a creative and artistic format.
And it's popular, and it's people buy prints from you.
Correct.
So you have taken something that you were interested in and good at, and
monetized it.
Yes, which
you know I hate. That's like.
But that's reality.
It is. It's the reality of living under capitalism, unfortunately.
I mean, in a way, like I can identify a lot with you, and so if you see me taking notes, it's just because I want to talk to you more about like. Just stuff that I just want to talk to you, but not on the camera because I don't know if viewers will be interested. And also, like, some tea is just for two.
Sure.
But like, there in a way, like when I started performing, I didn't expect.
Right, you're doing it because you're passionate about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like.
But that is why I think people are drawn to people like that. I did the same thing. I was just like, I fucking love doing this. You know, it's just so fun for me.
Right.
And then, you know, people were DMing me. They're like, I want prints. And I'm like, fuck, okay. It was like, okay, well, I am putting a lot of time and effort into these, you know, and it would be nice to be compensated for that.
Right. Well, because like otherwise you have to get a job. So now you're working at a bank as a teller, and you're still doing your passion.
Right.
And you're not doing it as much or as well because you have to go work.
Right.
Nothing against bank tellers. Like.
No, I mean, it's just that is the reality of most artists, is you have to have that soul-sucking job that then supports your hobby, but you're also like trying to monetize your hobby too.
You want your hobby to be your career.
Yeah, but I feel very iffy about that. I feel weird. Like I feel like that's what my hippie parents, you know, taught me as a kid, and people still do that. Do what you love and you won't work a day in your life. And it's like, yes and no. You know, I did that. I went to fashion school and I worked in the fashion industry, and that fucking killed it for me. I was like, this is horrible. Something that I once loved and was a hobby is now my livelihood, and I have all of this stress attached to it. And now I like don't even really sew anymore.
Really?
Because that just, I mean, now I just like have other hobbies, but I really take issue with that when people are like, do what you love, because I'm like, sometimes just get a really fucking good job that pays you, and then you have more
Still do what
time
you
and
love.
money to do what you love on the side.
Okay.
Just putting that out there. Yeah.
I also made a mental note to myself that like I need to do like a 1950s pinup look
Yes.
for me.
Absolutely.
So
that style
I'll
looks
have to
good on everyone, honestly.
Really?
Yes. I mean, you just have to find the right hairstyle and.
I mean, I'm really
You're a blonde.
as self-deprecating as I can be.
Mm-hmm.
I look good with a tablecloth on. Like so so I would smash a 19 like you know, but we'll
and
have
that
to talk.
silhouette is just so
It's
fun.
it's a good silhouette.
And if you're doing like, camp or comedy, I just think it's just fun. It just reminds me of like Lucille Ball.
Yes, I love. Oh my God, Idol.
Love her.
Goals.
Yes.
But that's what I was gonna say. So my show, that's the only loose thread that I didn't cut. I don't know what you do with a loose thread. Pull? You don't pull it.
No,
that'd be bad.
then your garment's gonna unravel.
Right. That's my aesthetic. It's so at my show at Punchline with the queens and the comedy,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have to do comedy. Oh,
Yeah.
there were 2 loose threads. Whoops. They can, and it usually goes over better.
Mm-hmm.
But really, it's just a great way to. A lot of people come to the show. I think it's their first time seeing drag queens.
Mm.
They've never, but they're like, oh, I kind of want to see them.
Right.
There's also comedy, so that's like my safety net.
Right.
And then I think the same happens with people that have never seen live comedy. They're like, oh, I want to see Rosie and Yaya and Deja Sky. She's also
No,
in the
it's
show.
a really good, like, you're getting a good little Venn diagram
Yeah.
there of, yeah.
And then they see live comedy done well because
Mhm.
a lot of people have seen live comedy done poorly.
Right.
And so it's like, oh.
Right. That's why I like, because I talk on such an array of issues. I think a lot of people will like follow, like they'll see one print that I like that's like about masturbating or something, or like vibrators. And so they follow because, oh, it's sex positivity, which yes, I am. But like, I talk about a lot of other shit too. Like we're going to talk about, non-monogamy. We're going to talk about a lot of other things. So I think, and I've gotten DMs like that where they're like, I started following you for this, but then like, you've really educated me on a lot of other things. And I'm like, that's awesome. Because that's like, I intake a lot of knowledge from like creators on TikTok and Twitter and stuff. And I love sharing that with other people. I love being educated. Like I grew up in a very closed off conservative cult as a kid. And I have absolutely, okay, I'm not going to say I have no problem, but I love being proven wrong. I'm like, prove me wrong, please. Because it's embarrassing for me. Like I had these gross, super wrong ideas my entire life that I was like, this is what it is. That's what you're indoctrinated with. And it is really fucking hard for people to be like, you know what? I was wrong. And it is really hard for people to say that. But now I'm like, please. Anytime I post something, I'm like, if there's anything that I'm saying that is wrong, please call me out, call me in, and I will fucking change it in 2 seconds. I don't want to be spreading misinformation. I don't want to look like a boob, So I hope other people are better at that. I'm like, it's actually such a compliment and like so loving when somebody calls you out or in. It's just like, hey, just FYI, like, what you said is offensive or whatever, or like you could have worded this differently, or here's a piece of information that you didn't know, and I didn't know that. Thank you so much for telling me. It takes like 2 seconds and then just makes the world a better place.
As a stand-up comedian and drag queen, I have to say that while I agree, there's also a danger of somebody saying it and maybe they're being too sensitive.
Oh, totally. Absolutely.
Because
and I have to be very careful. I've gotten good at being like, is this a valid criticism or is this projection? Because I'm a psych major and I have a lot of, trauma too. And I've absolutely been guilty of just, projecting my own insecurities and whatever onto people. So if I do get really emotionally volatile messages from people, luckily in my DMs, I can kind of monitor it. But I do get some shit sometimes, and it's easy for me to be like, I'm so sorry that was your experience, but that was your experience. That's not universal.
Right.
I'm really sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry that offended you, but I need you to understand that like there's other people in the world besides you, and like their opinions matter too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I cannot even imagine like being a comedian in this day and age. It's like, I appreciate that we are sensitive, but absolutely, yeah, it goes too far sometimes.
See, it's hard. Like I was. Let me find the right word. Honored enough to be asked to perform at a memorial yesterday for a woman that died.
Yeah.
Supposed to be a drag show, and then because of reasons, it turned into a half comedy, half drag show, which for me is very at home.
Yeah.
And the comedians that I found to help out were like at a memorial.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah,
I'm like, fuck yeah.
people want to be
That's
happy.
exactly what I would want on mine. Yeah.
And then, you know, it's like people weren't sure if they could laugh, and the comedians weren't sure where they could go. And sometimes that happens just at a regular show.
I know.
But it's like, I don't know, you have to, I think both the worlds that I have a stiletto heeled foot in, or my little sneakers right now. But I think it's our job as comedians and drag performers to kind of find the line.
Totally.
Do you feel like it's your job as a content creator to kind of find the line?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I definitely, the times where I got the biggest shitstorms thrown back at me was when I was speaking in absolutes, and possibly when I was speaking on experiences that were not mine.
Okay.
So that is my rule of thumb now, is I really just speak on my own experiences. And if somebody comes at me, I'm like, you are not going to tell me that my experience is different. You're just not. Like, politely go fuck yourself. So, you know, if you had a different experience, that's great. I honor that, hold space for that, but you are not going to come into my DMs and tell me that my experience was different. And I really do try and hold space for, like, not making absolutes on things and being like, hey, this is my experience, this is my view, you're free to disagree. You know, so I'm more careful with how I word things, but yeah, I think comedy is amazing as long as I'm witnessing somebody talking about their own personal experiences and punching up rather than punching down. I think there should be no reason to not laugh, you know. I think it makes people uncomfortable, not me, because like I've used self-deprecating humor my whole life, but it does feel like, is it okay to laugh? They're making fun of themselves, and it's like, yeah, babe, like join in, like that's why I'm here, you know.
It's killing me that I can't. That like you have to go back Wednesday. I'm like, oh, come to my show.
I know it'll happen.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
But I have different performers every time. That's.
Oh shit.
And I'm like, this is a good one. They're all good though.
Wait, okay, so it's Wednesday night?
Sunday.
This coming, yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah.
No,
I'm like, I love my mom, but I'm not staying here for a week. Sorry.
right. No, there's no way. Okay, so you make these and pulp covers. Which,
yeah.
Okay, and
So
you
they're
still call
called-
them that, even though you're modernizing them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they, Pulp Fiction, not the movie, but that
Right.
is literally a category of
term.
novels. Yeah.
Mhm.
So they were like, you know, little smutty novels. Like they're about, each one of them is about that thick, and I have a bunch of them. They smell really bad. They're old. And yeah, they were made small because you would be like ashamed to carry them. I mean, we have the modern versions of them are like those cheesy romance novels that are in Safeway on the magazine.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
That's like the modernized
I thought maybe it
version
was
of it.
like DeviantArt or like.
No, I mean, we still have these little smutty novels. They were also really big in the 80s, you know, with like the big muscular guy.
Right,
that was
right.
Like, yeah.
With hair.
Yeah, always. Fabio.
Yeah.
So that was like the 80s version of these. And then, yeah. But I just love the 40s, 50s, 60s style.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it about this? I mean, because you said you were drawn to it
Mhm.
for yourself, for your own personal style.
Yeah.
And then now you're drawn to it as a content creator.
Mhm.
And also, I agree, there is a negative connotation. But like, am I also not? I mean, this is content right now. Like,
I know. I mean, that's kind of the joke, is that literally every human is a content
right.
creator.
Yeah.
We're literally all making content.
so I just want
Yeah.
you to know when I'm saying it that I'm also aware that it has that negative connotation. But
I wouldn't say negative. It's just like silly to me.
silly, pejorative, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, pejorative is negative, but I
Yeah.
guess silly. It's self-grandizing, right? And so
Mhm.
it's
I'm like, I guess it would be, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like you are more of like a persona. I don't know if that word feels
No,
right.
I think that works. Yeah.
For a long time, before I went on TikTok, my page was just my memes. I really went through a period of not really wanting to show myself at all.
I recall.
Yeah. And that is really comforting for me. Like on my art page, I like that it's just my art, because I kind of don't, people will see me and then make their own opinions about me and then see my art through that lens. Whereas if they don't know me, they're just seeing the art on its own and they don't know who the fuck is behind it. And I kind of like that. I like that anonymity. But I also know that people like to see your thought process and, so I've gotten better. I've done a couple of the like behind the scenes videos, but those are hard for me. I'm a shy person.
I don't like to, I agree.
Yeah.
I identify with that because
Of being shy.
No, not that part, not at all. But like off stage,
Mhm.
off camera,
Yeah.
people are always like, oh, like they'll come to and someone I don't know,
Right.
and they'll be like, oh, let's hang out, and I'm like, I don't think you'd like me off. Like,
really?
yeah, like you're getting.
So you're like, you want to hang out with Suzette, but yeah,
You're
like,
getting-
are you gonna hang out with David?
Well, but like, that I mean, it's like you're getting when you come to a show,
Mm-hmm.
you're getting the onstage person.
Sure.
And that's even comedians, right?
Yeah.
Like we just talked about this with one of my regular contributors on the show.
Yeah.
People want to date her, but they want the person that's on stage for 20 minutes.
I think that's why so many performers are wildly depressed.
Well, I
mean,
chicken or
celebrities.
egg, right? Like, are
Yeah.
they performers because they're depressed, or are
right.
they depressed because they're performers?
Okay, valid point.
Right.
Valid point. Is it like a self-fulfilling prophecy? I don't know. But yeah, it is really hard for me for that same reason too. I mean, not to be like, oh my God, I'm so amazing. But yeah, people will like DM me, and especially people in the area, they'll be like, oh my God, we should hang out. And it literally terrifies me because I'm like, I don't know what idea of me you've built up in your head.
Right.
I don't know what the fuck it is, but I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to live up to it. So it's like very, very stressful. I've been super isolated. Even like if COVID wasn't going on, I probably would still be the hermit that I am today.
It's nice in a way that it's going on, because it gives you that
excuse,
that screen to like, oh, too bad.
Yeah, I know.
So you're drawn to the 1960s pulp covers.
Yes.
You talked about how you got started. What's the most difficult cover you like? Are there degrees of difficulty in making them, or are they all the same?
Well, I mean, so I'm self-taught in Photoshop, so my skills are still pretty limited, but I am learning a lot. So when I say like I nerd out about stuff, this is like my nerd shit now, is like learning Photoshop, getting better every day to where, I mean, I look at one that I just did and I was like, oh my God.
Well, yeah, hold one up. Let's talk about them.
So I brought a tote for you.
Oh,
so this is one of the
God,
first ones that I ever did. Let me know if you guys can see everything. But yeah. So then my logo is on the back. It says, be gay, do crime, have fun. So the original cover, it's a bunch of people in a shower, and they're just like, it's such a just little corny camp cover. I loved it. But so this was actually probably a 1970 or 71 cover.
Okay.
You can tell like there was a big censorship law that got put into place. So like late 60s, early 70s, pulp covers definitely started getting more racy. You started seeing some titty, you started seeing some ass.
So the later years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
40s, 50s, like if you look at like all the lesbian pulp novels of like the 40s, 50s, they're never kissing. They're never even like touching usually, because it can only be implied. There's always just like a sidelong glance, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I will say that's difficult for me. Like I want...
You want some risque.
I want more like risque gay content, but it's like, you know, I want that you could show more sexy stuff with a man and a woman. You could show them in like mid-embrace. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I want that with two women. I want that with two men where it doesn't look like corny, you know? So basically, I wish that I was an artist that could create shit from scratch is the answer to that question. So
Is that someplace that you can? I don't do any art with my hands. Is
Yeah.
that someplace you can get to?
Potentially. I don't know. I have never really been somebody that makes things from scratch. I think that I consider myself somebody who has a really fucking good eye. Like, I know when something looks good. So I like working with creative people, but I don't think I'm like that gifted person that can take a blank piece of paper and make something just fucking incredible.
What about like shooting like with like models, like your own?
Yeah, so that was like my favorite job that I did in the fashion industry was organizing fashion shoots and directing people. I love that because again, I know when shit looks good.
Right,
you
you have
know?
an eye.
Yeah. So I love doing that. And actually somebody the other day was like, oh my God, what if you like made pulp covers with like real people? And I'm
Right.
like, that's fucking sick. But I think like other people are doing that. It's a great idea.
Well, no, that's what I was asking. I mean,
Yeah.
not to be like, I have a great idea. But
I think somebody is doing that and it looks sick. Yeah.
I was going to go somewhere as a follow-up. And I
Oh,
forgot.
I didn't show the newer
Yeah,
version of
show
that
the new one.
bisexuals one. So I just wanted more color. The original one was just beige and boring. So and then I also did the colors of the bisexual flag, which you guys have bisexual lighting in here.
We
is
do.
pink, purple, and blue.
And look at the wall behind you.
I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's just the best color scheme. But I love this print. I think the picture is like the perfect amount of like corny and cute. And you know the bisexual trope of we're all just like, you know, slutty and
Oh, we're getting to that, yeah.
yeah. And I'm like, you know what? Some of us are slutty and it's a great time. So you should try it sometime.
So, back to, are any of them hard? Like, because with
Oh,
drag
are any of
and-
them hard?
Yeah, like,
So,
or
like,
is,
on the
are they all the
original
same
ones-
degree of difficulty?
No, yeah, some of them are much harder. Some of them I just know that it's like, oh, that would be easy. The hardest part is erasing the original text from the covers. I've had to come up with like a lot of, you know, unique techniques to do that. So if the background is like really complicated, that can be really hard, and that takes me a really fucking long time. I also put a lot of thought into the typography that I use. Because I want them to look fucking authentic. I want you to look at that and like think, oh yeah, it's just a book cover, and then be like, wait, what? Does that say titty on there? Like what? You know what I mean? So I don't always like perfectly match the original type, but I know what types were being used in the 50s and 60s, and I try and find something that looks original.
This is why you're compensated for it, because you do that research.
There's a lot of time.
There's a lot of time, a
Yeah.
lot of effort, a lot of research that goes into it.
Yeah.
When you, okay, so this is like with drag numbers. Sometimes and we've talked about this on the search. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's, oh, I like that song. I
Uh-huh.
need a look to go with it. Sometimes it's like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
have this look. I need a song.
It's both.
It's both. Is
Yeah.
it the same for you?
Yeah, I mean, like I have a note stock of like, you know, things that I want to talk about. I've talked about a lot. Like I have like 120 covers. But there's still some where I'm like, yeah, I want to talk about, I'm like, what's one that I haven't done? There's a couple like non-binary ones that I want to do. Like, it is hard too for me because I have to put a lot of thought of like, okay, what do I want the title to be? The big word that people see, and then how do I want to put the description of the storyline. But there is like a non-binary one that I want to do of like non-binary people don't owe you androgyny.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't found a right cover for that, but I know that that is a topic that I want to do. Then other times, yeah, I'll be scrolling through, you know, the covers and be like, oh my God, I love that image. I don't know what the story is going to be, but I'm going to save it. And then whatever, 2 weeks like down the road, I'm looking and I'm like, oh yeah, fuck, that would be perfect for that.
That is very much how it feels.
Yeah.
For
That's
me,
just like creative.
yeah, well, because
experience.
it's like I don't know what, like I have a dress at home and I'm like, I don't know what to do with that
Yeah,
dress.
but you'll find it.
But-
like it'll come to you.
Right, and sometimes it's the number and it's like,
Right. Or you'll hear a song and you're like, this is perfect.
yes,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I do have to just sit on it for like 6 months.
I know, it's tough. I have a whole fucking folder of shit where I'm just like, oh, and I'll scroll through it like once a month, and yeah, one or two will pop out to me, and I'm like, all right, that's why I kept you.
And
in
you have,
here.
I'm sure they're organized, right? Like you have like oh, this is non-binary folder, and this is
No, I just have
No?
a folder. I kind of have like a willy-nilly folder of just like, I fucking love these. I don't know what to do with them.
Okay.
Or I have ideas for them, but I'm not sure.
I don't know if it'd be helpful, but I have so many playlists, and it's
Oh,
like,
God,
oh,
same.
this is
Same.
well, you're right, but what if this is because like I'm trying to figure out what number? So what if you
Mhm.
had like a subfolder in your folder of like, oh, non-binary
Yeah.
images, non-binary
I do,
text?
yeah. So on Pinterest, I do have a lot that are like, I have a ton of just lesbian ones. I have, unfortunately, the gay ones, like with two men, are like, they're so corny. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do with them. I'm like, I'm not a gay man. So I can't speak on that experience. And my DMs are always open. I'm like, if you're whatever, a gay man or some other identity that I'm not, and you have an idea, like, let me know. I'll fucking do it. But I'm not going to speak on being a gay man. I don't know. So, but yeah, I have lesbian, gay. There's a couple that I'm like, could be trans. Obviously, like, we weren't saying trans back then. They were
Right.
just whatever, just being super disrespectful and saying slurs and shit. But I'm like, that is a line where I was like, I'm doing another interview with a queer erotica company, and she was like, how do you reclaim these images? And I was like, I'll be really honest with you. I don't know if we can ever really reclaim them. I'm doing my best. But like, these were still drawn by and made for cishet white men. So, and I am a white woman. I mean, I loosely identify as a woman, but yeah, so that is a line where I'm like, I don't know. I really struggled with that initially, where I was like, is this okay? Am I reclaiming this? Is that even possible? Is it like okay that I'm using these images? So I still struggle with that sometimes.
I think it's good that you have that thought, that you're cognizant of the struggle. I think that's what makes you you.
Yeah.
Also, I think you're tailor-made to do this with a degree in psych and a background in fashion. You have a lot of knowledge in what you're creating and what it looks like, so that helps.
I got a lot of shit to say.
When if one of your covers that
Mhm.
you've made
Yeah.
was made into a movie or a novel, which one would you want to be out of all of them?
Oh my God. I'm like, which ones did I bring? I brought my faves today, but there's so many. Can I just do like my,
Please.
I'm like all of these. I
Yeah,
love.
no, go ahead.
So this one initially, I can't remember what the original titles were on all of
I
them.
just showed that to someone.
You just showed this one?
Earlier at brunch.
I love this one, and it's just, I actually thought about changing this to slut shaming, changing the title to slut shaming. So right now it says she has body hair. And this was inspired just by men being shitty and telling women what to do with their bodies. Because I'm like, this is literally what it feels like when it's like you're literally just existing as a woman on the internet, and like, heaven forbid you have armpit hair, and then your comment section is just men being like, you need to shave and blah blah blah. And it's like, shut the fuck up, Kyle. Like, nobody asked you, and it's just so hypocritical. There was something going around on TikTok. It was actually a woman where I was like, oh babe, you were so down the rabbit hole, where she was just like, I think body hair on women is unhygienic and it's disgusting. And I was like, but it's okay on men. Why? Like, make it make sense. I don't get it. And like, why do you care? If you want to shave, that's fucking fine. I'm like, I shave sometimes. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I don't want to. It's just so weird. Like, why do we care about hair on other people's bodies? This is so fucking weird to me.
It goes back to just doing you.
Literally, just
and I mean,
mind your fucking business.
I think there's some gray area, like if you have a partner and like what what you like and what you
right,
agree.
but like, how does my armpit hair like impact you in any way?
stranger,
Especially as a
right.
man, I'm like, you're seeing armpit hair on yourself and all of your male friends all the time.
Right. Yeah, it really doesn't.
It doesn't make sense. This is another favorite of mine. This one took me a long time because I had to isolate her out of the back of the original cover and like reconstruct everything. But it's just a storyline that we can all relate to, It's just that moment of, and it just, your vibrator dies at the worst time every time. And it is truly devastating. So, And then this one is inspired by men who talk about being worried about being catfished on a first date.
Okay.
And that's like their primary concern, is that a woman is going to be like fat or ugly. Meanwhile, we're worried that you're going to fucking murder us. So it's just kind of that juxtaposition of like, I mean, literally, I have taken pepper spray on first dates, and men just have no fucking clue.
No, yeah. I'm making a note to talk to you about later. Keep going.
This one would probably be good. It would be like a horror movie about, usually men gaslighting women, telling women that we're fucking crazy when we're not, and we're expressing our feelings or calling them out on their bullshit. This is definitely a favorite of mine. I love the colors, and I just love her face. Like, it really does feel like that, because you're like, am I fucking crazy right now?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I know what I saw.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, and so I was telling Jesse when I got here, on my Instagram, when I post about things like that, like on the vibrator one, I would just post like some funny TikToks from people like talking about masturbating and stuff. But on really more serious topics like gaslighting or, rape or anything like that, I do try and post other resources, like what is gaslighting? A lot of people don't know what it is, and like tips for how to identify it and things like that. So yes, it is about the art, but it is also about educating people too. This one is inspired by me, so this would maybe be a funny movie. This initially was like, there's a magazine from the 50s called like Girls, and it's basically like teaching girls how to be, perfect little women. So initially on the original one, she's like doing math, but I put boobies on it, so I made her drawing. And I would do that as a kid. I would draw naked ladies and then somehow still convinced myself I was straight for like 20 years. And then I am polyamorous. I think you probably know that if you follow me.
Mm-hmm.
So this one upsets a lot of people. I should probably change it to toxic monogamy, which is another topic that I talk about. I have no qualms with monogamy. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. This is just how it feels to me. It feels like I'm being suffocated and trapped. And before I even like knew what polyamory was and monogamy was the only option, it felt so restricting. I was like, this doesn't feel right to me. How can this be the only option, So that's kind of what it was. Again, not hating on monogamy. You do you. But like, don't tell me to be monogamous. I don't want to be.
Well, because everyone gets to do their own thing.
Right. And I'm like, my decisions don't impact you.
You
at
can be
all.
monogamous in like Star Wars, and you're not going to be.
Right. And I'm like, literally doesn't impact you. Your relationship is just fine. I think people just feel really threatened by that. Anything that's like not the norm. And then it's just coupled with the whole like bisexual stereotype. I'm like, I'm actually more on the asexual spectrum, which is really funny, because when people are like, oh, so you just must have tons of sex all the time. I'm like, no. Not that that's like any of your fucking business, but really no. I'm like,
what is the asexual spectrum?
Asexual people, it's a spectrum, but experience either no sexual and or romantic attraction or very little. And so I'm on like the very little side. It's just incredibly rare for me.
So if you can, and by no means are you a science, we're not saying you're a scientist, but if you can explain, so that sounds like a binary, right? Like there were only two things.
Of the asexual spectrum?
Right, there's no attraction and very little.
Mm-hmm.
What's in the middle of the spectrum? Just less,
like maybe a little bit more.
A little bit more. Okay.
So I mean, there's no, and then there's very little, and then there's attraction. So that term is allosexual. Anyone who is not asexual, like you, is called allosexual. Yeah.
Well, I'm allosexual. I don't know if my dating life is, but.
But the other like misconception that people have about asexuality is that it's celibacy, that it's a choice, and they also it's not the same as libido. So I describe libido as kind of like a general sexual attraction, kind of like randomly you'll just be like horny all of a sudden and like nobody's around. That's libido. Okay. Because you're just like, I want to fuck. But sexual attraction is like, I want to fuck you. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I am sexually attracted to you.
Right.
And that, like, my libido is pretty normal, like, now that I'm off of SSRIs, but I just don't have those feelings for people. Super, super rare. So, I mean, I always tell people, I'm like, I'm open for whatever. It's not like, okay, I'm never going to have a connection with somebody. I just recognize that for me, it just doesn't happen. Like, my friends will talk about crushes and things, and I'm like, I just don't. I'm not that way.
And never have been?
I think I faked it for a long time, and I think I just thought, kind of with being straight, I was like, this is, reading other people and mimicking their behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Like my friend and I, she's actually aromantic, but she's more sexual than me. She was like, doesn't it feel like you choose crushes sometimes? And I was like, yes. Like, it's like, I should be attracted to you. So then you like convince yourself that you are. That's the only way I can describe it, kind of.
No, I think that's a good way to describe it. I think most people probably don't choose a crush.
Yeah.
You almost.
Or just have that physical, like, I don't find men physically attractive, like, at all. Women, like, aesthetically, I mean, I think that you agree. Like, women are just amazing.
I think everyone agrees.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Really, like, women are just more aesthetically pleasing.
Yes, absolutely. So I've always been that way, and then I was like, oh, everyone feels that way. And then people were like, no, I think you're just gay. And I was like, oh, okay. Which, I mean, they're not wrong. But yeah, like my friends will be like, oh my God, do you think he's cute? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I got to go have a conversation with him and like make sure he's not a fucking homophobe or a Trump supporter. You know what I mean?
But you're like, but 9 out of 10 people say he's cute, so I will say he's
and
cute
I'm like,
and have a crush now.
If you're asking me if he's conventionally attractive, I guess, yeah, he's got like muscles and shit. But it's not like my type of guy that I feel like I always end up with is like the dad bod and like, nerd shit,
Mm-hmm.
Because,
but you don't want the nerd shit, but the nerd guy.
Yeah.
Just a respectful nerd guy
I like
who's
the
not going
golden
to force
retriever, like, I like gamers. They're cute, but just like, you do your thing and don't force it on me.
Right.
I love that.
Well, and they'd probably be so surprised if they didn't force it on you how receptive to learning about it you might be.
I am that way. When I see somebody who's super passionate about something, I am drawn to that. I will go and ask you questions. Like my ex was that way. He was a huge gamer and he never forced it on me or anything, but I liked watching him and I was like, okay, this is kind of fun.
I don't know if anything's more attractive than passion.
Absolutely. Yes.
Like whatever
that
it's for.
is what I say. And I'm like, if somebody is passionate about something, instantly, like DTF. I'm just like, tell me more. I want to know everything about you. Let's grab a drink. Yeah, it's hot.
You mentioned somebody out there shooting graphic cover, pulp.
Somebody just tagged me in one.
Photos.
Yeah, I
Somebody
think it was
tagged
like,
you.
And they were like, oh my God, you should do this. I'll show you after.
Do you find, not that you doing that would be copying, because I think that you should, because I think you have an eye for it and you want, there's images you wish you had that you can't find, so you need to create. But do you deal with copycats or plagiarism or anything negative?
There was a guy doing it before me. I think it's actually 2 men who were doing it. And to be honest, they did one did a pretty good job, but his titles, I'm like, I can tell that a fucking man did this, first of all. And they're all just like fart jokes and just like stupid shit where I'm like, wow, you got it, like making fun of like how high the pants were and being like, why is my butt crack halfway up my back? I'm like, you're an idiot. Like, you're dumb. And then another guy did it, and
that's your fashion speaking. Well, your fashion background.
It's just my man-hating speaking. I just don't think that men should ever say anything about women ever. I just absolutely hate it. But then the other guy did it, and I look at the cover, and I can instantly tell that you just slapped some type on. Like that was the main thing that I studied was like. And I'm not an expert by any means. I'm still learning. But it really bugged me initially when I made them because I would be like, I can tell that I just put type on there. It doesn't look like I want it to look real. Right. I want it to look integrated. So I did like a lot of research on like, okay, what filters do I need to put on? Like what kind of blur? And then effects of like overlaying and like shadows and shit to where I think they look pretty fucking realistic. So
Yeah,
I like
no,
that.
they look super realistic.
Yeah.
And I was like, at what point do you become an expert?
I don't know.
Well, this is a.
I think it's like 10,000 hours supposedly is supposed to be expert, but
Well, and you've been doing it for almost 2 years.
yeah. I mean, I look back at like when I first started and I literally had like an anxiety attack even opening Photoshop and being like, what the fuck is going on? So I've come a long way, but it's just hard for me. I'm a Capricorn. I'm a perfectionist, When I don't know something, I instantly feel like self-conscious and like, oh my God, I'm dumb. And then, so now I'm really trying to reprogram that and be like, oh, this is a new thing for me to learn. Okay. Instead of being like, I'm a dumbass.
No, I don't think at all. I think no, I don't think you're a dumbass at all.
I don't think so.
But
it's just that inner.
I think you have
voice.
to get to a point where you might have to allow yourself to be called an expert in this.
I don't know.
I
like that I'm pretty much the only one doing this that I know of. There's a lot of people who have done advertisements from this period and do a really fucking phenomenal job. Rinny Riot is like, I'm obsessed with her, but I'm pretty sure she's like a legit graphic designer. But I mean, her ads look authentic. And again, she talks kind of about the same things as me. She's a Black woman, she talks about racism, feminism, all that jazz. So she's a huge inspiration of mine. But I just, as far as I know, I'm the only one that's doing these specific time range of pulp covers.
think that's really cool. A trailblazer.
Perhaps.
Okay.
Dare we say it?
No, I'll say it. Where were we? You ship your prints all over the world.
Correct. Yeah. And I don't just do prints. I have mugs and sweatshirts on my site too, and stickers. And then also I have a Redbubble store, which I don't know if we can add on there, but you can search me. It's the same handle for everything, FemMeow. And I use Redbubble because they do other products like coasters and notebooks and just other things like that. So literally everything that you could think of putting my shit on it's on something probably.
Okay. I only asked this because we've talked about it at least a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Do you go through like, it's basically like a site and they make the stuff?
No.
Oh.
So, okay. So for everything besides the prints, yes. I use a site called Printful. You can also use like Shopify. There's a lot of sites that will do that. So it's a third-party site, and they do a good job. However, the person who does my prints is local.
Okay.
She's a family friend. She's fucking rad.
Okay.
She's a woman, a mom. It's Neverboard. They're in Old North Sacramento. And it was really important to me. So I did start doing the prints through Redbubble, and I ordered some, and I was really unhappy with the quality. And so I took it to her and I was like, how you are amazing. She is an expert. She's an expert in graphic design and printing. And I was like, I love you and I want to support you. And also you're just fucking amazing. And I would go to you even if I didn't like you. And I'm like, how can we make these look the best that they can? So the paper that she uses is a vintage archival paper. And she also uses an eco-solvent ink. So I have ordered a lot of prints and I think that mine are beautiful. I mean, the quality is very important to me, so they're very high quality prints.
No, they're I get a lot of posters for shows. They're very high quality.
Yeah.
But again, someone doing the research to find out what type of paper and or what type of ink, and you're doing the research to find out what type of
she's the type of
text.
person for me that we both have that attention to detail, And I'll send, a PDF over to her and she'll be like, hey, I boosted some of the colors and things because it looked a little, lackluster. And I'm like, that is the kind of person, that's how I think. It's like attention to detail, but also just being a nice, genuine person too. I'm blessed to have her. Love you, 10.
I think that's awesome. Somebody, those, you're on social media, so you get it. Sometimes people just put oh, this is great. Message me to follow or message me, to learn more. And it's like, like basically telemarketers of the internet.
Oh yeah.
And somebody
it's a cesspool out there.
Well, and somebody the other day posted on one of my posts like, oh, if you ever want a cartoon or a poster made or this or that, and I was like, no, I'm really lucky. I like my poster maker. She's much more than a poster maker. She's
right.
I would say my art director. She's a graphic designer by trade, and like I'm so like I just love. I love the posters that she makes.
Yeah, you can tell there's a lot of like love and attention in there.
Totally, and it's not something that I could even begin to do. Like I've made posters before, and they look like garbage when I make them.
It's amazing when somebody who's just so fucking good at what they do, and like something that took me forever, she's like boop 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 boop, and does in 2 seconds, and I'm like that's expert to me. You know, like I don't think I'm dumb, like I'm better than somebody with no knowledge, but she's been doing it for how many years and can do this shit in her sleep.
Right, but what you're doing with the thought of combining the text that you want to put with images, that's not as easy for somebody else.
Yeah,
they're looking at you like the same magician that you're looking at.
Right.
A graphic designer.
I know, and then that's so funny. I guess it's just we're our own worst critic always, you know. And it's only when I do collaborate, you know, I don't know if have you gone to college and done just tons of awful group projects? And you start...
Well, I do shows with people. So comedy shows and drag shows are group projects. Yeah, sometimes you're like Brunch is a great crew. It's Taryn, Apple, Helen,
I love Taryn.
and me, and then we have a guest performer every week.
Yeah, and I don't want to be like you look at other people and you're like, oh, I'm so much better than them. But it gives you some perspective of like, wow, okay, I have learned a lot of fucking shit. Or even with you, you're probably just like, yeah, they do that and I don't do that. And it's like, that's cool. They have that niche. That's not my thing. And that's cool that they bring like a different thing to the table. That's beautiful.
No, right. Well, that's something about Brunch that I love. And not to just keep going back to Brunch, but I love that like, and it's something I've talked about on the show, but like, you know, Taryn's going to give you
comedy,
but also like,
roast you.
She will roast you. 80s dance moves.
Yes.
Now dance moves.
Yes.
Helen's going to give you modern dance moves, like hip hop and dancing. Apple's going to give you
so much energy. Helen,
right?
Amazing.
Apple's going to give you comedy and 90s songs. And I'm going to just be weird. But we all have our own different strength. Yeah. And together it's so much better than if we all had the same strength.
Right. If it was just like 5 showgirls.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, I mean.
Not shitting on showgirls. We love you.
Somebody loves that. And they want to see 5 showgirls over and over. But the majority of people don't. No. They want variety. Yeah.
We get tired of it sometimes.
So I think it's great when you have a good group to do a group project. Yeah, but when you don't,
so rare. Oh, I've had some horrible ones this past year.
Really?
But the good thing about how they're doing it now,
in school,
for school, because I'm finishing up my senior year, is that you have to rate each other at the end for like how much each contributed. Oh. So yeah, like my last group, I gave 2 people 0. I was like, bitch, you were not even here. Absolutely not.
And what'd they say? Like, I'm just curious. Were they?
They don't see. That's all confidential.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. You think that people would put more effort in if they're getting peer graded?
You would think.
Peer rated?
You would think.
That sounds like a peer rated.
Also, it's just like a pride thing for me. Like, I would just be absolutely mortified if somebody was like, Sky, you did a really shitty job and like didn't help at all. I would be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I just.
Do you want me to do it again? Yeah.
It's just like, I just love helping people that I love. I mean, I don't want to help you if I don't like you. I guess that's kind of shitty, but.
No.
I guess I will help you if I don't like you sometimes. I just won't be as enthusiastic.
I don't think it's shitty at all. If you don't like somebody, there's probably a reason.
I don't know. I do believe in, the energy and karma and
sure.
Try and whatever.
But
treat others as I want to be treated. Even though I'm pretty sure like you wouldn't do the same for me. Not you, but
right, general
person.
You.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe that's just karma's response.
I like being nice to people who don't like me. It's like I
Really?
get off on it a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, because they're expecting me to be mean to them. I don't like go overboard with the kindness, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of being mean to you. Absolutely not. And feeding into that, like, oh yeah, well, you're a bitch.
Okay.
But I love people that are bitchy. I love it. I do not take the high ground.
Well, yeah,
Like,
you just said
I
you like
love
Taryn.
people that take the low ground. Yes. I
don't know if I'd say the low ground.
yeah.
I think it's a higher ground.
I think it's just it's just two options. I love people that are fucking confrontational. Like I'm not. Like my trauma response, if people are even raising their voices around me, I'm crying and dissociating, or one or the other or both. But oh my god, I mean, you know Julio. He's like he will fight you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I love that. Like not scared to back down, will not be fake with you ever. I fucking love that.
Well, and I think that's why, like, maybe you guys like each other, because you, again, good group project.
Yeah.
You balance each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Absolutely. There's definitely been times when I'm, like, grabbing his wrist, being like, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How often do you experiment with images that aren't the 1960s? So you like the 70s and 80s. Do you ever do anything modern? For memes, maybe?
I mean, for memes, like, yeah, I use a whole array. I use a lot of SpongeBob. It's my favorite cartoon. And some TV shows. Like, sometimes I'll do a series. Like, if I'm watching, I just am rewatching The Good Place. So, that's kind of like a fun little scavenger hunt for me to find, like, lines in The Good Place. I don't know. Like, I feel like meme making is so easy for me, but other people are like, oh my God, how do you make a meme? I'm like, you have an idea to get across, and then you find a picture, like a phrase, you know? But like, I don't know. I guess it is harder than people make it out to be. But
well, and that's why I'm saying maybe you should qualify yourself as an expert.
An expert meme maker.
Well,
I'll put that on my LinkedIn.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's hard for most people and you're good at it,
yeah. It's easy for me. It's like I'll just hear a line in The Good Place and I'm like, oh my God, that would be so funny. Like there's something that Kristen Bell says, like, do you have a second to eat my farts? And I'm like, that's so fucking hilarious. Like, and then you just think about like, okay, that one's not really creative. It would just be like me too homophobe, you know? But yeah, it's just fun. And then I think people like, I won't say what show it's from. They'll be like, oh my God, I love The Good Place. And it's just a fun little collaborative, because yes, they like The Good Place, and then like hopefully maybe they can relate to some of the memes. If not, you know, whatever.
it's a way to connect with people too.
Yeah, I don't expect people to resonate with everything, but because there's a lot of dimensions of me.
So you not only make these, we've talked about it. You also create other content where you make videos.
Yeah,
and
TikTok.
TikTok. So, and then your TikTok videos are on Instagram.
TikTok hates me. I've had 2 accounts banned, and I get shadow banned a lot.
So TikTok, the app, not TikTok, the crowd of users.
Yeah, not the users.
What is shadow banned?
Shadow banned is where you can kind of tell you would normally be getting like a certain number of views on your videos, and then all of a sudden you're just not. Your views go way down. And the way that they like deny that is they're just gaslighting you. And they're like, well, maybe your content's just not that good. And it's like, no, maybe like the algorithm is like doing something to actually like suppress my content. Yeah, that app is super shady. There's been so many like documented things of them, you know, during the whole like George Floyd thing, just suppressing content, anything related to BLM. I have things flagged for like hate speech, and I'm like, what? Like, I'm not saying anything, you know, and like you can't write anything really negative about men without it being flagged as hate speech. I can't really post any of these. Like, even this would probably get flagged for like nudity or sexual content.
There's no nudity on it.
Yeah. So,
I mean, there, of course, like there's people not wearing clothes, but nudity.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's literally just subjective, and I can appeal it, but then usually nothing happens. So, yeah, I don't post a lot of my stuff on there anymore, which is a bummer because it's like it would be a really effective marketing tool for me and like getting myself out there. But I just pretty much stick to Twitter as kind of like the wild, wild west of social media. Anything goes. I mean, you can post porn on Twitter, so
Right.
yeah.
I know somebody came to brunch and he was a porn star and he was like, "I'll follow if you follow me," and I was like,
All right.
"All right."
I
Cool.
love it. Yeah.
So when I talk to other social media content creators, they find that their fan bases don't always want diversity in their work.
Mm.
Do you find that true?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain, like, as many times as I get the message of, oh, I followed you for bisexual content and, like, you talking about being child free, you know, I'm very, like, proud and speak a lot about, you know, I'm 30, never had kids, never planning on having kids. So just being, like, a proud child free woman, you know. But then for every message that I get about that, you know, it's I'm unfollowing you because I followed you for bisexual content, but now you're talking about ACAB and stuff, and I don't support that. And it's like, all right, take it or leave it.
Is that challenging at all? I'm going to say
I mean,
no.
I don't
from your
care because
response.
I don't make a living off of my Instagram. You know, I'm not doing like paid sponsorships and shit like that. I literally say whatever the fuck I want, and if you don't like it, you can leave. So I don't expect people to agree with everything I'm saying, but I do expect people to question why they have the beliefs that they have, you know, and like push yourself to grow. It's fucking uncomfortable. Like, I know that. I grew up in a fucking cult. Like, yeah, that shit's wildly uncomfortable to be like, oh my God, everything I've been taught is a fucking lie. But like, we have to push ourselves. I'm like, if it's uncomfortable, then sit with it. Wait 2 minutes before sending me a paragraph long DM about how much you think I'm wrong, and really examine why you feel that upset by me talking about my decision to not have kids, or, you know, something like that.
Sure. No,
Yeah.
that's fair. So I've been following you for a while.
Yeah.
And before, at least
I'm like,
knew,
I probably had like 800 followers when I first met you.
well,
I wasn't even like doing it.
yeah, no,
what
I was going to say. It
doing
was
now.
before, at
Yeah.
least I knew you were creating content. Maybe before you were creating content.
Oh, it was
truly.
definitely before, yeah.
Something that's important to you, and we talked about it earlier, is, and I don't know how to best word this, recognition of bisexuality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, by visibility.
By visibility, thank you,
Mhm.
which is basically anti-bi erasure.
Yes, yeah.
By visibility, that's
Yeah,
a great phrase.
and that's why I've like, I'm sorry, I just cut you off. But
No,
it's
please.
just
I'm
it,
Italian.
it is so important to me because I just feel like we, you know, fucking get erased in the community, and like that was my coming out experience, was like having the door shut on me numerous times, even by people in the community being like, no, like, don't you have a boyfriend? And like, even now I'm fucking single, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I'm single. It doesn't matter who the fuck I'm dating. They will always find a way to invalidate your identity. And so I know it can be like annoying to see bisexuals be like so annoyingly visible, but it's like because we're constantly being erased, it feels like we have to be so extra and like so out there all the time.
This is I'm going to jump a couple spots in my list because we talked about projecting, people
Mhm.
projecting, and criticism coming from rejection.
Yeah.
Do I have a theory that, okay, let me ask the question and then tell you my theory.
Okay.
If all of humanity is being honest with themselves and truthful, what's the percentage of people that are bisexual?
That's a great question. I mean, that's nuanced, and I mean, I don't want to say everyone's a little bit gay because I don't know, but I will say that, you know, humans are the only species where like heterosexuality and monogamy are so rigid. It just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. So, if there were absolutely no social constructs, no organized religion, nothing like that, I think probably 90+% of people would be gender fluid and sexually fluid.
I mean, I don't know about gender fluid. I haven't.
I mean, like, gender wouldn't really exist if we had like no
Right.
social constructs.
but
or
I
anything, yeah.
definitely think sexual. Like, I definitely think that.
Like, the lines would just be so blurred. Like, the
Right.
more that I studied human biology, I was like, this just doesn't even make sense. Literally, like, first of all, sex is not binary. Intersex people exist. There's a whole different array of, you know, genitals and like chromosomes and everything. But it was one of my followers who was a biologist. She was like, you realize that like penises are just like external vaginas, right? Like the clit is the shaft,
Right.
the testes are the ovaries. And I was like, holy fuck. And like, if you look at embryos, like, we are the same until like that certain point where we do start to branch off and develop the certain secondary sex traits. But we are so similar, you know, before anything else. And I just feel like as a society, we've worked so hard to be like, no, that we're different because of this and you're different. It just doesn't fucking make sense to me at all. Like, I just hate it. It's like anytime I'm around like cishet people for like a long time, it just makes my brain want to explode because I'm like, how do you exist in these boxes? How is that? How do you like doing that? Like, I just hate it.
But also, then it's important to recognize that, like, maybe some of them just want, not all of them, because I'm saying
Yeah.
most of them are probably bi, but some of them aren't, and some of them just want that. And
Yeah.
do you?
But then it's the chicken and the egg thing. Was, you know, I don't necessarily believe in the born this way thing. I don't think I was born necessarily with this sexuality. I think I've gone through a fuck ton of sexual trauma and other things that I'm this way now. And I think that's still valid, you know? I think a lot of gay people do have that identity because of sexual trauma, and that's still valid. Some people I do think were born that way, and it's valid. It doesn't mean that it's more valid than somebody, you know, who came out later in life, or, you know, it doesn't, it's not more or less. It's just, it's all valid. However you are.
I think that's well said. So part of bi visibility is explaining what it is, because so many people think it's greed or it's apathy
Or confusion.
So why is it so hard for people to understand? Like,
I think we're just obsessed with fucking binaries.
okay,
So it's just straight or gay, you know? And I'm like, why is there just two choices on every fucking menu? Why is it male and female? Straight or gay? Like, I just can't. Like, even masculine or feminine. Like, no. It can be a mixture of everything, you know? And obviously just media plays a huge part in it too. Obviously the visibility, the media exposure. Like, growing up for me, how old are you?
I'll be 38 next month.
Oh my God. I thought you were way younger. I'll be 30 in January.
That I was what?
I thought you were my age. I'll be 30 in January.
I will take that. Oftentimes I get 24 and I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yes, I know. I have a baby face too, so people think I'm younger, and I'm like, I think that's to our benefit, and I'm gonna ride that train as long as I can.
No, I'm not gonna lie about it.
Yeah.
But I'm also
we're
like,
smaller too, so I think that, yeah.
I'm like, go ahead, yeah, no, same.
You should just lie.
Pretend I was born in the 90s.
Just lie. Yeah. Well, I was born in 92. And I mean, I tell people that I had zero bi visibility. My first even hearing the word bisexual was with Megan Fox. And it was not in a good way. It was like, bisexuality is a lie. She's a slut. She's a greedy, you know, little whore. And she just wants to fuck everyone. That was what I got with bisexuality. And then like Lindsay Lohan was dating Samantha Ronson. And I do think Lindsay Lohan is probably bi. But all the media was, she's a lesbian. And it was so confusing for me. And then seeing the only like two out women that I saw were Rosie O'Donnell and Ellen DeGeneres growing up. And for me, I was like, okay, I did know very early on that I liked girls, but I was still having crushes on boys too. So I was like, okay, that's confusing. And then also they were pretty masculine, Rosie and Ellen. And I have never enjoyed presenting masculine. I've tried, like, because again, that's bi-erasure. There's femme-erasure too, of saying like, you don't look gay. So I had tried in many ways to be more masculine, and it just feels really, really wrong to me. But that was the other thing in my head. I was like, okay, I still like boys, so like I guess I'm straight, but I also like girls. There was no option for me. Nobody said you can like both. And then, I didn't like being masculine, so I was like, okay, I guess I'm not a lesbian. I guess I'm straight. And like not having that option kept me in the closet. I had to choose one and just chose the one that I was safest and I guess made the most sense to me in my little child brain.
Well, like, I mean, rivers are very powerful, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they generally go down the easiest course.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with going down the path that's of least resistance.
Resistance.
Yeah. Sometimes it's smart.
I mean, it was safety for me
Right.
growing up, and not in a literal homophobic cult. Like I would have, who knows what the fuck would have happened to me.
No, and you bide your time until you can be more open.
Right.
What's your favorite? Oh, sorry, skipped one. So I dated someone who was bisexual,
Mm-hmm.
and I learned a lot of things about even in concept. And I too like being told like, oh no, you're wrong about that. So what's your favorite bisexual myth?
That we're half gay, half straight. Yeah. Bisexuality just means that you acknowledge that you have the potential to be attracted to more than one gender. That's it. And that could be so many fucking things, and that's why I think it's so beautiful. It could include men, it could not include men, And that's why I love when somebody comes out as bi. I mean, I don't initially start questioning them, but my close friends, I'm like, what does bi mean to you? Like, how do you experience your attraction? I'm like, this is how I experience. And then that's how I introduce my asexuality. And I'm like, yeah, I just actually like gender doesn't matter to me, but my sexual attraction is just very rare. But gender doesn't play a role. I don't give a fuck about your gender. It's just, I just need you to be a rad human being. And it's just rare, to be honest. Like,
Yeah, no, I get it. It's like, I think it is beautiful, and there's so many ways it can go, and I think that's great that you ask how someone experiences it.
Yeah.
Because that's what I learned. That it's not just like, oh, I like
men
half and
and
half.
women. Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh, you can be romantically interested in women, but sexually interested in men.
Yes.
Or you could be 90% interested in men and 10% interested in women.
Yeah. Or I mean, again, like me, or gender could just play no role. I mean, yes, I find women more aesthetically pleasing, but if I fell in love with somebody, literally their gender would not matter to me.
So what's the difference between that and, because you're bi? Pan, yeah.
It's very messy. I have 2 highlights on my Instagram page that people can go to. I use bi and pan. Initially, I came out as pan because my partner at the time was non-binary, and they were like, oh, well, you're pan then. And I was like, oh, okay. Because that's the other myth, is that bisexuality is trans exclusive and doesn't include non-binary people, which it absolutely does. So after I educated myself more on that, I was like, okay, well, bi and pan both feel fine to me. Bi came first, and then pan is just a newer label. Mostly what people use pan for is to mean specifically attraction regardless of gender. Gender does not play a role. Or attraction to all genders, but that could also be omnisexual. There's a whole fuck ton of labels. Again, use the label that makes sense to you. Don't tell other people how to label themselves. That's my rule. I use bi and pan. They both fit. I like the historical context of bi, but I do like pan feels right to me too, because gender doesn't matter to me. A lot of bi people do have a preference. They're like, no, I like women more, or no, I like men more. And there are bi people that do resonate with the 50-50 split, and that's fucking valid. That's fine.
Yeah, no, that's what I learned. Like,
or what would be 30 if we're including non-binary? 33.
33, yeah, a third.
Yeah.
What's something you'd like, and maybe you just did, but what's something you'd like to set the record straight about bisexuality?
Yeah, all of that.
Okay.
We're not all hypersexual. We don't experience bisexuality in the same way. We're not a fucking monolith. Like, labels are messy because, yes, we all have a similar experience, but it's not the same. So don't treat us all like we're the same. Like, get to know each individual people. Obviously, intersectionality matters too. Me as like a white woman, bisexual woman, I experience gender and literally everything about my existence different than like a black trans bisexual woman, you know? So it's going to mean different things to different people. That's just how language is and how identity is. So yeah, just get curious. We're not like on the highway to gay. It's not like a phase. It's not a layover to
Well, and I think that
being gay or a lesbian.
I think the problem.
I mean, it is for some people. Again,
right.
That's fine.
That's and I don't want to say problem, but I think that's what kind of muddies that water.
Right.
Is for some people it is a stopping. It's a stopgap.
Right.
But
I mean, I think it's because I'm on social media so much. I see all sides. I see people who are like, "Hey, I used to identify as a lesbian, and now I identify as bi," or vice versa. And I think that's the other thing, is that labels are helpful, but they often feel very restrictive to me, you know? So you can change your identity literally at any fucking time. If it doesn't feel right, change it. And I hope that the community would be loving and accepting and of you no matter what. Like, human experience is not stagnant. We're always growing and changing. That isn't to say that, you know, your identity is always going to change, but it does for many people, and that's fine, and it needs to be normalized.
If somebody wants to contact you
Mm-hmm.
for a print or to purchase one, what's the best way?
You can always DM me on Instagram. You put my contacts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm Femmeow, or Femmeow Pulp is my art one. And then my email is femmeow@gmail.com.
I believe we just have them meow, but
That's fine.
in the bio it
it'll
says Femmeow
it'll
Pulp.
link to my art one.
Right on.
You will find me.
That is the end of my proper questions. I have rapid fire if you have time.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Do you have a favorite wig color?
Wig color?
Yeah. Do you ever wear wigs?
No. I mean, I would.
Why don't you?
I don't know.
You would, but you don't.
I have a couple like cheap little like shitty, you know, Amazon wigs. Pink. I love pink.
Oh, Amazon wigs can be amazing.
I just have like the little pink bob wig.
Okay.
It's a look sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It
So
would-
pink.
So pink.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip the one that if you name your wigs, because I'm gonna say if you just a couple you probably
If I
don't.
name my wig.
Pink wig.
No. Oh, I would name it Nikki.
Oh, you
Nicki
know.
Minaj.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. When you put on a bra, do you clasp it in front and spin it, or do you put it in? You do the back arm thing.
Well, I don't really wear those kind of bras anymore.
That's a
Like,
valid answer.
I just
Yeah.
wear like, I'm all about comfort. But no, when I wear those, no, I just do it from the back. I've been doing that since I was a kid. It's just bada bing, bada boom.
I know, but 68 episodes. Probably.
Y'all do this?
You look. One day. I wish I had fans that would that were so devoted that they would
Yeah.
put together that answer that I've asked
I
multiple
guess it
times.
is really awkward.
It's
I don't
really
know.
awkward, and I've asked drag queens, I've asked women. I think 3 times someone has said,
I'm the weirdo.
"Yeah, I think you're the third or fourth."
I need to question everything. I need to start becoming a front clasp person. That just would feel like you're just, I don't know, and then your boobs get in the way as you're like,
no.
it.
That's what my friend says. Chelsea. She says she can't do it because she has big boobs.
Yeah,
And
you
she's
gotta
been-
lock them in first, and then clasp it.
You clasp it down low, and then you spin it, and then you pull
You're
it up.
saying this as somebody without boobs. You have no opinion on this. Okay, not no opinion. Sometimes you have boobs, right? You put a little something.
How high is too high for high heels?
Ugh, no such thing. I have probably 12-inch. I would die.
Really?
Yeah.
You have 12-inch?
No.
Oh,
But the biggest
That's
ones
why I was
I've
like,
worn is just
what?
the standard stripper pleasers. What is
Oh,
that?
like
6
6 inch,
inches?
yeah.
6 to 7 inch. Yeah.
yeah. I live in the 5 to 6 inch.
Yeah. Anything higher than that, I would probably die.
You're not wrong. I have a pair of 7 inches, and they're
Dangerous.
terrifying.
Dangerous.
It's 1 inch is
You're gonna break an ankle.
or just die, just
Yeah.
fall and plummet from a.
But you're gonna look damn good doing it.
You really do. Do you have a favorite LGBTQ activist?
I'm like me. No. Honestly, I'm gonna give a shout out to my friend Gabby at Gabalexa. She's a huge bi activist, and I attribute so much of my mental health to her. And her visibility really gave me a lot of strength to come out and do what I do. She's an amazing writer, activist, hottie, all around cool person.
Do you have a favorite item on the gay agenda?
I like that we turned frogs gay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was
that's-
unaware.
Yeah. I'll send you a video after.
Please do.
It became a thing. You knew about the Babadook thing, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that was like my first thing for the gay agenda. But I don't know. Do you know who Alex Jones is? He's like that angry Republican.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. He was on some rant and he was like, they're putting chemicals in the water to turn the frogs gay. And then somebody like remixed it and made it a song, and then now like frogs belong to the LGBT community, and I think
Frogs
that's
are
awesome.
cool.
I'm gonna get a frog tattoo.
I think frogs are bi because they're amphibians.
I think they are too.
Literally, they're on water, they're on land.
Yes.
Sometimes
they said,
it's
"Don't make me
50-50."
choose."
Yeah, they just do both.
I love them.
Which do you think the COVID-19 pandemic affected more, the gay dating scene or the straight dating scene?
Oh, I feel like gay. We're more like out there, and I feel like we're more social. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. That's a good question. What do you think?
That one I didn't write that one. I'm influenced by all the other times I've gotten the answer, and the overwhelming majority
Is
opinion.
straights?
Yeah, because
Interesting.
this is not me saying this.
Oh, because we're more used to interacting online, maybe?
More so, just don't care. Like
The
meh.
gays don't care.
Yeah, like
That's
we're gonna-
interesting. I
we-
guess, I mean, I don't know a lot of straight people, but I guess a lot of the complaining I have seen has come from straight.
Well, there's your answer. Yeah. Do you have a favorite position to imagine straight people having sex in?
Missionary with the sheet and the hole in the middle. That's how I imagine a lot of them having sex.
I've never heard of that one.
That's like a religious thing. That
Why?
it's like, I don't know, because of sexual repression. Like, you can't see each other naked, but like.
So they have a glory hole sheet? That's better?
I don't know about better.
Well, I mean, in their mind.
I guess it's like Jesus is watching. I don't fucking know.
Jesus is
I don't know
watching,
what's going on up
But
there.
he can't see through the hole.
Apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There's so many confusing things to me about
That one needs a name. It can't just be. And I'm not
Let's
criticizing
call
you.
it like the Casper glory hole, because it's like a sheet, like a ghost.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. Heterosexual sex is like terrifying to me. Just yeah. I don't watch straight porn ever. It's like absolutely horrible. But yeah, it's just like the whole script. It's like straight sex is on a script. Feels like, like how pussy eating is like foreplay, and I'm like, y'all know that like that's the main course for most of us. Like, it's just like so P and the V centered. Like it's all leading up to the penis, and I'm like, that's literally the most like anticlimactic shit that's over in like 2 seconds. So I don't know.
I
try not to like worry about what straight people are doing ever if I.
Oh, for sure. It's
help
just funny to me that when I do ask that question, people always have an answer.
What do people say?
It's sometimes, a lot of times, missionary.
Yeah.
Doggy style. Reverse
Yeah.
cowgirl once.
Ugh. Yeah. I feel like that's a straight position.
But it's like 99% queer people have an answer, and 1% of queer people are like, I don't know. I don't want to imagine that.
I don't know.
So it's just
again, like I'm just not a very sexual person. Like sex is more like funny to me. So, like I saw an ad for a sex swing on the way over here. I'm like, why is this fucking being targeted to me? This is so funny. But
I've never seen one.
it like goes over the door, and I was just like, wait.
No, I mean,
what?
I've seen a sexing. I've never seen an ad for one.
Oh.
So I wonder why you're getting targeted.
I don't know. I do talk about sex a lot for somebody that's not really interested. So maybe
That
Daddy
could be it.
Bezos is listening, and he's like, you horny bitch, here you go.
I'd rather have a Daddy Bezos than a Daddy Apple. So You gotta pick your daddy.
We have a couple daddies.
Yeah.
There is a daddy Apple. I just don't know his name, and he's gay. Remember, they were like, "Oh my God, gay rights," and I'm like, "No, he's still a capitalist overlord."
I don't like Apple products.
Ooh, I know you're an Android user.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite sex position?
You know, I like missionary sometimes. It can be nice, but it's like
Without a sheet.
without the sheet. Yeah, no sheet over my head. Just I'm not even here.
Right.
It can be really nice, but like you got to spice it up a little bit, like like arms in different places, but not like I don't know, like prolonged eye contact weirds me out. But yeah, I'm pretty boring, like doggy. I don't know the fucking names. They all have like inventive names that
They
I
do.
don't know.
Like strains of weed.
Yes.
You're like that.
I'm
has
like
a
I don't know,
name?
the one where you're like spooning, like morning sex is like my favorite when we're both kind of just like, but I don't want to kiss you, so it's like we're spooning and fucking, but
That I check
I don't smell your shitty breath and you don't smell mine.
the chat in case anyone messaged like what that's called. What's your favorite thing about the existence of brunch?
Oh God, so many things. I get to sleep in. I like that it's like being overtaken by the gays. Mimosas, and then I've only gone to one drag brunch in LA, but I think all brunches should be drag brunches.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
It elevates
It does.
the brunch.
That would be the only thing that would improve any brunch that I was at, and I'm like, if there's more gays and drag queens here.
Do you cook or bake?
Not really. I'm like a horrible 1950s housewife. I'm pretty horrible, yeah.
Good at the aesthetic, bad at the practice.
Yeah, I'm just lazy, and also I don't like failing. I like baking more because it's very precise, like the measurements for everything. I actually used to bake a lot as a kid. I would bake like pies and shit. But cooking, first of all, I'm not a huge meat eater, and then cooking meat terrifies me. I'm always scared that I'm undercooking it, and then I always overcook it, and it's dry and disgusting. So I pretty much just don't cook meat.
This is just something that's interesting to me, that
Yeah.
you can be so good at the aesthetic of a 1950s housewife.
That'd be horrible.
Right. There's so much to explore. Like how many were that? How many housewives were terrible at the aesthetic and good at the actual rest of it, but people didn't perceive them as being good at the aesthetic because they look.
Well, I think most of them probably hated it. Like a lot of this too, why I was drawn to this era is I grew up a lot around my grandma, and she was obviously from that fucking time, and she was the little perfect housewife, Susie homemaker, with her 4 kids, and so I don't know. She's still alive, but if she was dead, she would probably fucking be turning in her grave if she saw the shit I was doing.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But it's just fun to flip that on its. I actually don't, though, because she was actually pretty fucking feisty and fiery.
Right.
And I feel a lot of affinity and like kind of sadness for her because, I mean, I hate saying I'm born in the wrong era, but she was just so ahead of her time. And it's just, there wasn't room for that, She was a stewardess, and then it's like, oh, you're 25, you're old now, you've got to get married, And I'm just like, fuck that, So a lot of what I do is for her, even though she would probably be offended by it, by some of it.
I wonder, because, maybe if she could be honest with herself, maybe she'd enjoy it.
She was like very contradictory because she was very progressive, but then she would be very not on certain things.
When that happens, that's always really interesting. And you're
Right.
like, what's the real story?
Well, I'm like, it's just what's the cognitive dissonance where it's like, this is okay, but this is not. How are you rationalizing that?
It's a good psych term.
Yeah.
I like using cognitive dissonance. I don't like having it.
Smart. Right.
Right. I like using it as the term.
Yeah.
I asked this of everybody, but I know the answer. DC or Marvel?
Oh, I don't know.
Neither is your answer. It's
I
okay.
guess. I don't
You're
know.
asexual to comics.
Okay, well, I love, like, a sexual awakening for me was Catwoman and Poison Ivy, so that's Marvel, right?
That is DC.
Okay, then DC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That works. That's an answer.
Marvel is like Captain America.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I don't think that I like Marvel that much.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I don't fucking know. I'm not dying on this hill. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I like comics, so if you're
Wait, is Superman Marvel?
DC.
Batman is
DC.
Oh, okay. That's why Superman and Batman have their
Right.
storylines all the time. Okay.
If you're
What the fuck does Marvel have then?
well, everything else.
Oh.
Yeah. Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, Spider-Man.
Oh, right. I only liked
Some pretty
the Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland. I thought he was adorable, but I thought all the other Spider-Man movies were not good.
well, they're still making them with Tom Holland.
I know. He's so precious. I think he's adorable.
He is. I think I mean this is my opinion and I'm very biased, but I think Marvel has some really great woman characters.
Yeah. My friend, the other one who's asexual, she does like amazing cosplay stuff, and she is a Marvel stan. And so that makes sense to me. She does cosplay a lot, and she's very feminist, and so yeah, they have like strong. Isn't what the fuck is her name? Brie Larson's character. That was Marvel, right?
That's Marvel.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel.
She's a baddie.
The most powerful person in the universe.
It's pretty fucking dope.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about when I was like, oh, they have strong women characters.
Yeah, I like that. But again, I mean, not to be like Debbie Downer, but I just feel like still a lot of those characters are written like by and for men. Even though, yes, they are strong women, you know, there's certain times when I'm like,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll make a note to come back to this off camera. If we are at the bar and someone's buying us shots, what are we shooting?
I'm going to be tacky and just say tequila.
What kind?
I'm like Jose Cuervo. We're cheap.
Well, okay, so there's a difference between Cuervo and well, because like Cuervo's not well.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Jose
Some places
Cuervo.
it is, but
I don't know. I've just had so many bad experiences with vodka and gin, and I can't do dark liquor. Whiskey just fucks me up. Yeah.
okay.
We'll
So
stick
none
to
of that.
tequila.
Drink wise, if someone's buying us drinks,
For me, my go-to is a gin and tonic, but I am a little highbrow on my drink selection. I only drink
you just said no
Hendrick's
gin, and now you're gin and tonic.
Well, but I'm selective with the gin. Like I wouldn't do a shot of gin, but for a cocktail,
Oh,
I
I
like
agree. Okay.
Hendrick's gin, which is top shelf gin. I'm not doing Bombay, and definitely not well gin. So I'm picky.
No, yeah.
Picky.
Well, gin is for cleaning,
Yeah, it's awful.
not for your insides.
No, vodka is for cleaning toilets.
Yeah,
well, vodka.
well, gin is for cleaning the sidewalk because I'm not putting it in my body.
I hated gin for the longest time, and I forget who it was who introduced it to me, but Hendrick's is it's so refreshing. It has like cucumber notes in it. Let's have it with ice and like a little bit of cucumber in there. Bougie, refreshing bitch.
I don't know if that's bougie. That's just knowing what you like.
Yeah.
It's,
I'm not really like a cocktail person though, but like, I guess when you like what you like, I'm particular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this might be the most important, more than the bra.
Oh God.
Toilet paper over or under?
Over.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people say over.
Yeah.
Some people say under.
I know, and I heard kind of a compelling argument for under once, but I was just like, no. Especially because I have cats too, so like it just like lays, and then they just shred it.
The weird one is when people are apathetic or toilet paper verse. Yeah, they're like, I do it both ways. Like,
I'm like, how?
and some
How?
people don't care.
Yeah.
And
I'm
some
like,
people,
have you never shit in your life? Like, you've never. What?
you gotta have a preference.
I don't know.
I don't know, but
Maybe
then we
we're the
talked
weird
about you
ones because
doing.
we do have a preference.
No, I've talked to a lot of people about this. We're not the weird ones, I promise.
Okay, fine.
We're very normal, or whatever normal is.
Yeah,
we're
right.
majority.
Right.
Do you have a favorite comedian?
To be honest, no.
That's okay.
I love you, and I will be
Thank you.
totally candid. Like, stand-up comedy makes me really uncomfortable. Generally, I get secondhand embarrassment really badly, so it's very hard for me to go to live shows. but no, who was the last stand-up that I saw on Netflix? But it wasn't. No, it fucking was stand-up. But he's Scottish too, which like UK humor is just dark, you know. And that I think that was actually the title of his show was Dark. So he's funny as fuck, but like he talked about real things and like dark things, you know. And that's me. So it wasn't just like cracking jokes. Like it got real at certain points. And then also there was a autistic lesbian stand-up, Hannah Gatsby, or yeah, incredible. She should have won awards for that. So I like comedy like that, where like it gets dark, it gets real, but like we laugh about it, you know. So but most like comedy specials that I see on Netflix, I can't. It's just not funny to me. I have ADHD, so I'm just like, I can't roll with just the joke. Like, I like to be surprised, you know, like, oh, we're going to get into some shit, but then we're going to laugh again, you know? I like stuff like that.
See, that's a challenge. That to me, that's why I
It's
like
a
doing my show.
huge challenge.
Because I like people who haven't seen good comedy, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
we just need to find what you like.
Right. I also want to shout out my friend, Brittany. Brit from KC. She's an amazing queer, bisexual stand-up comedian too, and she puts together rad, inclusive comedy shows in Kansas City. Unfortunately, so I haven't seen any like firsthand, but she's fucking rad and hot and funny.
Comedy shows should be very inclusive. I'm really kind of over just seeing the same 8 people on a show,
right,
from the same perspective.
Right. And somebody else brought up, like, I'm not saying men don't do stand-up anymore, but maybe. Like, do we need more male comedian? Like, I feel like I've heard all the fucking jokes, you know? And then even, like, the female comedians that I see are mostly white women, and then it's white men. And then I feel like they're just doing the same jokes as men, and somehow it's, like, edgy because they're women. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, I'm not amused by that at all. So, I don't know. I think I'm less about just the observational humor. I just like to talk about real shit, you know? And I think that we can still laugh about that, but I don't want to just listen to somebody cracking jokes for an hour. That's just super boring to me.
That's fair. Do you have a favorite drag queen?
Bob the drag queen.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
Interesting choice, because Bob is a stand-up comedian first. Yeah.
Yeah, I fucking love him.
Okay.
And also, I mean, I follow Bob and their 2 partners on Instagram. So I also love their partners and their polyamorous representation. So
you could say Bob is your favorite comic.
Yeah. Comic and just person. Like, I just have such an affinity for him. Yeah.
No, I think that's a very good choice.
Yeah. Their relationship goals. I have like, oh my God, just the way that they are. They're so fucking cute.
Do you have a favorite drag king?
I don't really know that many drag kings. No.
Okay.
No.
We'll have to find some.
It's a shame. I want to know more. There was one that I saw at Faces that just fucking rocked my world, but I don't know. I think it was just like a guest performer, but she did Bowie and like the whole fit.
Faces.
Yeah, this was years ago though, but absolutely incredible. Slayed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could probably ask around and get an answer, but I don't know that off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think that I talked to her afterwards, and like, you know, I was going to drag shows religiously. I didn't recognize her, so I think that she was just maybe like a one-timer, which is so cool. Like, or
just you at one time, because they can, you know, you perform in another city. Maybe you come to Sacramento once.
That's true. Yeah.
Because I'm
just
thinking
passing through.
I'm thinking of someone that lives in the Bay.
Oh yeah.
And so, you know, the chances that you would see them. Because even if you come into town, different clubs and different nights. So, okay, this one is totally just for my just to feel
selfish.
Good. Yeah. Do you have a favorite drag princess?
I mean, you call yourself that, but now I don't know. You're gonna have to educate me. What is the?
I just think okay, so I look at Taryn, right, and I'm like, okay, she can sew, she can do hair.
Okay, princess is you don't consider yourself queen level,
right?
Oh.
I'm like a queen, like, if that's a queen, I'm not a queen.
Well, I mean, I'm like, Julio would probably shoot me for saying that, but he's kind of on that level too. I mean, he's improved so much even in the time that I've known him, but I don't know. I feel like if Julio was able to just dedicate all of his time and energy, he would beyond queen shit. But
Well, and I mean, it's different, right? Because
I'm like, but he's my princess. I feel obligated. I have to call him my favorite princess.
I don't think that's bad. I think it's weird that like I use the term so frequently because a lot of people just start and they're like, I'm a drag queen. I'm a drag queen. So I don't know how he would feel about
and I'm
it.
like,
but
well, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about like making like a hierarchy or like at this point you're a queen, you know?
Mhm.
If you want to like identify that way as yourself, but like you're still a queen to me. So
yeah, I don't force it on other people.
yeah.
It's-
That's just interesting. It's an interesting identity and like language discussion. So it's all subjective.
It is
Yeah.
because it's what I find is it's something people haven't really given thought. So
Yeah.
it's interesting
No,
to
that
get.
was the first time I've ever heard it from
Right.
you, and I thought that was just like a youth thing, and I'm like, oh, that's cute.
There are some
Yeah.
are some people that identify that way. Famously in Tu Wong Fu, Chichi
Drag
Rodriguez
princess.
is a drag princess.
Is that John Leguizamo's
Yes.
character? Because he was a little bit more rough
right?
and like newer.
Right.
Yeah,
Kind of learning his way up.
I love that movie so much. Do you
Everyone
know?
should.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought
okay.
you were just gonna say that you didn't, and I
No.
was like,
No, I love it. It's
Yeah.
a good movie.
I know. I was just like, I need to rewatch it.
That is, yeah. I mean, I'll ask this one just because I wasn't your favorite princess. Do you think I'm pretty?
Yes.
Okay, that's okay. I just needed that. I just
Absolutely.
yeah. At the end, it's just all
Do you
about me.
think I'm pretty? Do you think I'm pretty?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. With or without the print up aesthetic,
Thank
wherever
you.
you find yourself.
I meant to be more dressed up, but it's like this weather is just, it's just killing it. I had a cute ass outfit, but I'm like, I'm gonna be sweating balls, so no, can't. Sorry.
Same.
I look much cuter on the gram. Catch me on the gram.
You know, I think some people only look cuter on the gram. So if you can look cute
I mean,
on and off, I think you're doing it
Yeah,
right.
we're presenting our best self on Instagram.
Oh,
not-
not me. Yeah. Mine is just super goofy.
I love that.
It's
That
just
is
like
your best self.
look at the people I get to perform with. They're amazing.
That's amazing.
Sky, that's all the questions I have.
Thank you
Um,
for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Is there anything you want to plug or direct people to that
Nope,
we didn't cover?
Just my website, Shop Femme Meow. I have all of your merch needs. Again, if there's a print on there, like I have so many designs and not all of them are on my website. So if there is one that you don't see on there, message me. I'm really good about responding to messages and emails.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And that's actually our show. So thank you to you. Thank you to Jesse. Thank you,
Jesse.
viewers. We'll be back next week. Not sure what we're doing, but on the 22nd, 5:03 p.m. We'll see you then. Have a good week.
You were a problem child, been grounded your whole life, so now you run wild. Playing with them good girls, no, that ain't your style.
I mean, if you want to choose a couple, do you guys think that you would hang them up?
I love it, yeah, yeah. Stumbling, but yeah, you're still looking hella fun. Keep doing what you're doing, and we'll make you mine. Well, you're a hot mess, and I'm falling for you, and I'm like, hot damn, let me make you my boo. 'Cause you can shake it, shake it, shake it, yeah, you know what to do. You're a hot mess, I'm loving it, hell yeah.
What song is this?
Hypnotized. The city's your playground, I watch you take a bite.
Is this your anthem?
5 a.m. roaming the streets, drunk all night. You think you're hot
love
shit.
that.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, yeah. Stumbling, but yeah, you're still looking hella fun. Keep doing what you're doing, and we'll make you
Thinking about it? Yeah.